is it?
You're locked into the Flagship, an Ole Miss podcast powered by College Corner.
Here we go.
1, 2, 3.
Get your daily Rebel sports fix at the Ole Miss Spirit, omspirit.com.
Welcome into this Week 8 edition of Hit That Line. I'm your host, Zach Berry. Welcome in, College Corner Studio. They sponsor each and every show on the Talk of Champions Network, the Flagship, Ben Garrett's show, Talk of Champions, and of course, Hit That Line. They've got 3 locations, Oxford, Ridgeland, Flowood. Go see them at each of those locations or check them out, collegecornerstore.com. They do have the new Realtree design in, so go grab you some of that before next week's game against Oklahoma when the helmet is unveiled. The show is also brought to you by Drew Moak and USA Benefits Group. It's Medicare enrollment season, and if you're looking for a Medicare supplement plan or you're just looking for a regular health insurance plan, call Drew today, 601-953-8449, or visit his website, quoteswithdrew.com. He's been busy. He's been working around the clock all fall. He's been watching the Rebs, and he's been working his tail off. He makes sure that his clients are in the best plans for them. The show is also brought to you by our good friends at homefieldapparel.com. When you go there, when you grab some merch, got my VIP box coming in finally, as those things were ripped off the shelves when they came out. Got that one coming in. When you go, if you're going to get a VIP box, you're going to get some T-shirts, a hoodie, a coach's jacket, whatever. Make sure you use promo code LASTDANCE24. You get 15% off. Speaking of promo codes, you see the logo. There we go. It's hard to invert pointing. You see the logo down there for Roback. Go to roback.com and use promo code JUICE for 20% off. I've got the lightweight hoodie on tonight. It's fabulous. The weather is starting to turn. It's in the low 50s. This right here, you can't beat it. They've got great polos. They've got great shorts. They've got joggers. They got everything. Promo code JUICE, 20% off. All right, let's go ahead and get the Legal Gambling Counsel in here. And we've got Austin. We've got Ben. Gentlemen, our resident statistician, that is hard to say. Our analytics guy, Nick Carr, under the weather. He's not on the show, but he did tally up what we got so far. And boys, it is pretty tasty. Through 7 weeks, collectively, the LGC is 97-70 overall, up 13.27 units, betting the money line. And then Nick threw out this nugget. If every bet was minus 110, we would be up 33.27 units on the season.
That's outrageous.
It's pretty
That's sick.
Yeah, that's
expected.
As my man Fat Perez would say, it's good if you like perfect. So yeah,
with as much football as we watch, it ought to be that good.
Yeah, I mean, we've had some rough stretches. Like I think for the most part, we've done a nice job the last couple of years of dodging the collective bullet when everybody has an off week. So yeah, it's been another good stretch so far through the halfway point. But week 8 is here. Obviously no Ole Miss game here, but we are going to talk a little bit about the Rebs, what to look forward to next week against Oklahoma, and then kind of looking at what Ole Miss is going to need to do and need to happen for it to get to the college football playoff. We were talking a little bit before we hit record. I sent y'all the tweet. I can't remember. I think the Twitter accounts We Run the SIP. I want to give credit, but they pulled up the Week 15 AP poll from the last 4 years, and each year, several 2- and 3-loss teams in those final polls in the top 12. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. And as we've discussed this week, everybody has to play everybody. So it's still on the table. Ole Miss is just going to have to take care of business these next 5 games.
I think the concern that you would have is the committee getting cute and putting an equal number of teams from different conferences in the playoff. That would be the ultimate scare. I think ultimately I guess nothing's in a vacuum. I would be very surprised if an SEC team went 10-2 and did not make the college football playoff. That goes for any SEC team. I'm talking in general. I think unless there's a really random, 2 or 3 undefeated teams in other conferences, it's just hard for me to believe that team is.
I think that ship has already sailed too, because really you're talking about the Big Ten, right?
And now Notre Dame. That's right.
Notre Dame, but even Notre Dame's got one of the ugliest losses in the country,
right?
And so
Notre Dame still has to play Navy
and USC
yeah.
And look, they go to Georgia Tech this weekend, which spoiler, I'm going to be on Tech, by the way. 11.5 is crazy, but back to the 10-2 point. I would push back a little bit, Ben. I think there's one SEC team that could go 10-2 and not get in.
Oh yeah, true. It'd be
Missouri.
us. Oh, Missouri. Yeah.
Yeah.
With their schedule,
they got slapped by A&M. Yeah. That game was not competitive. And let's say they lose this weekend against Auburn, they're out. They're effectively out. Like you can't.
And they might lose to Auburn. And one, if you want to have a silver line, there's not one. Ole Miss is shoulda, woulda, coulda be 7-0. We talked about this before the show. I still think we're probably one of the best teams in the country. We talk, whether good or bad about him, but like even Josh Pate put Ole Miss like 5th or 6th still, and that's because everybody who has watched our games is like, holy crap, they're just not winning.
Ole Miss is beating Ole Miss. Ole Miss is 2-0 against Ole Miss.
That's right. But it is what it is. They lost a game, or Ole Miss lost a game. You got to move on. Go ahead, Zach. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say, one of the bigger numbers nerds, friend of the program from back in the day, Bill Connolly. He still has Ole Miss top 5.
Yeah, I think Ole Miss is probably in terms of talent, capability, but that you still have to execute, right? Like 2010, Alabama went 9-3 and found themselves in the Citrus Bowl and beat Michigan State by 1 million. That was there are times where you just don't. It doesn't happen for you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with that said, though, I think that because Ole Miss has beaten Ole Miss not playing well and still really should have – that's the most bizarre – you have to think that eventually they start playing well in conference play. And I'm not saying run the table. I'm just saying start putting good – we're not even a fun watch right now.
No. Especially in the offensive side of the ball. You're talking about one side of the ball in particular.
Yeah, I'm not talking about defense. That's right.
Defense is more than held up to its end of the bargain. It's the offense that's problematic, and it's problematic from top to bottom, from coaching to scheme to O-line to quarterback to running back to personnel group. Whatever you want to criticize, there's plenty to criticize. So I would just say this. If you're looking for hope, and that's not necessarily our job is to sell you on hope, but we've all watched the games. If you're an Ole Miss fan, you've watched the games. Players have to make plays, but let's say of the 8 or 10 things that went wrong in the LSU game that did not go against us, if just 2 of those go our way, we win the game.
Right.
I'm not saying if we get 90% of the breaks, I'm saying if we kick a field goal, if we hit a field goal, we win the game. So if we don't fumble before halftime, we win the game.
There was a time as an Ole Miss fan where if we watched us beat LSU, for example, it happened the way LSU just beat us, right?
Yes,
10 coin tosses went our way, and we won. Mm-hmm. And now the shoe's on the other foot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's talking about the 2 losses. They're both by 3 points, both conference opponents. I think that's big for the committee. Earlier today, we were discussing it. I think the timing of wins and losses matter to the committee. Yeah. You saw last year Georgia lost in the SEC championship. They're out. Probably deserved to be in, but doesn't matter. They're gone. I think that's huge for Ole Miss because you have a chance to win 5 straight to end the year, and that's going to be pretty loud.
All right. All right, and let's do this since we're saying that. Our hypothetical is that Ole Miss wins out. That is not a prediction.
We have to. Yeah.
But if Ole Miss is going to make, it's a bye-week podcast, so let's do it. Hypothetical, Ole Miss wins out. All right. In your opinion, what do we need to happen if Ole Miss wins out from other teams? Let's just look at it in the SEC vacuum. Let's not even talk about the Big 12, the Pac, whatever, whoever, ACC, Big 10, Notre Dame. Let's just compete with SEC teams. All right. What needs to happen?
I think macro, big picture, and this is a blanket statement, and I think some people will say no shit, but others I think disagree with me. We'll see what y'all think. I think we need as few other 10-2 teams as possible, right? Like let Texas run the table, let them be undefeated. I don't care. Everybody else needs to have 3 losses, and we need to be the only 10-2 team standing, or like one of 3. You
mean in the SEC?
In the SEC, yeah.
Right,
I think the SEC gets 4 in, assuming there are 4 10-2 teams that are 10-2 or better teams.
If Ole Miss is 10-2, I think there's 4 teams getting in.
Mm-hmm.
Unless, so let's run through it because I looked it up. Alabama at Tennessee this weekend, at LSU.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia at Texas this weekend, at home against Tennessee. LSU at Arkansas this weekend, at Texas A&M, and then host Alabama. Tennessee host Alabama this weekend at Georgia. Texas hosting Georgia this weekend at Arkansas, at Texas A&M, and then A&M host both LSU and Texas. So a lot of potential carnage in there.
Oh, yeah. I think the thing that can't happen that is most likely, I think the worst case scenario that's most likely to happen, let me put it that way. Worst case scenario that's most likely to happen for us is that Bama, Georgia, and Tennessee all trade losses and go 10-2. I think that's the worst case scenario for us because Texas is going to come out of this at like 11-1 or 12-0. And then if Bama, Georgia, and Tennessee all go 10-2, they're in.
Well, if Georgia goes, Bama, Georgia, and Tennessee, is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
If Georgia goes 10-2, that means we didn't. So,
well, unless they lose to Tennessee.
But they would also have you're saying they beat Texas on the road?
Right. If they beat Texas, they could still go 10-2 because they've already got the L to Bama.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying worst case scenario. That's not a prediction. That's worst case scenario of what would absolutely screw us.
So in that scenario, Georgia is beating both Texas and Tennessee and losing to us?
Potentially. Yeah. I think that's how it would have to work. Yeah.
And so then Tennessee, though, at that point would have 2 losses and they would have beat Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And Alabama would then have 2 losses
and
they would have to run the rest of the table. Man, that's we're threading the needle there, I feel like.
Oh, I don't know that it's likely, but I think it's the most likely scenario that absolutely fucks us, and we just can't. There's nothing. Because in other words, I think Mizzou's looking at maybe even 4 losses. I'm not really that concerned about them. I think A&M's got losses coming.
I think LSU does. Have you seen that?
I was going to say LSU has more coming.
There's the rest of their schedule at Arkansas very well could be lost. Then they follow that up immediately with A&M.
A&M, yeah. At A&M, right.
Back to back. Then they bye, and then they host Alabama. And then the week after Alabama game, they got to go to Florida. Mm-hmm. And let's be honest, that's not a gimme. I don't think that LSU was that. I mean, again, this is not sour grapes. They won the game.
Yeah.
That's not a standard LSU team.
No. There's a reason we were favored by 3.5.
Yeah.
They're not great. They beat us, but they're not great. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, and again, it doesn't matter because the game's over and Ole Miss lost. But you look at both losses and look at what all had to happen for Ole Miss to lose.
Yeah.
Kentucky, we know we're not going to go over that. But LSU, you needed Trey Harris to get hurt again.
And drop an 80-yard touchdown.
That too. Kane Davis, normally automatic, misses a kick. But then you had the
first time all year we decided not to run Piggies up the middle and fourth and goal from the 2, but we'll do it at the 50-yard line. That was a smart choice.
The fumble before halftime, which gave them 6 points in like a minute and a half or whatever.
Yeah. You get the targeting that's overturned, and then the guy just so happens to have like 15 tackles after that.
18.
You had the strip sack that puts you on the 20 going in to put the game away, overturned. And then Suntarian Perkins just misses by a fingertip of a sack that seals the game. So it's not like Ole Miss is getting blown out, just completely outplayed in these games where it's like you're scratching your head. Like, I thought this team was elite. They're going to go to the college football playoff. It's not just getting straight up whipped. It's just not making the one or two plays that you need. So I know it's still an L and people are frustrated, but it's not like you're so far off.
And look, our guys got to make plays. They got to make the plays, right?
We're not getting off the field on fourth down. This is back in our SEC losses. If we just make a couple of fourth, even with all that stuff that happened, we just make 2 fourth down stops, it's over. Like one in each game. All right. Earlier we were talking. I'm going to read this. So this is what I think we need to happen. LSU needs to lose at Arkansas this week. I think they're going to lose 2 more games, but let's just, for the sake of this argument, they lose to Arkansas and A&M right off the bat. They're then at 3 losses.
They're done.
I think they're no longer concerned at that point. Even if they win both of those games, they would still have Alabama left. They have to go to Florida left. There's a lot there that they've got to go through. They still host Vandy. Not saying Vandy beat them, but that's what, guys, Vandy beat Alabama.
I was going to say, Vandy against LSU will be what, 10?
Oh, maybe? I can't even imagine it'd be that high. 8?
Yeah.
So then we need Tennessee to lose to Alabama and Georgia. I think they're going to be underdog in both games. Definitely an underdog at Georgia. They're an underdog with Alabama, hosting Alabama this weekend.
Yeah.
They would have 3 losses at that point and be out. Then Georgia would lose to Texas this Saturday and us. They would have 3 losses and be out. So really what we need is we need to cheer for Texas all season. We need to cheer for Alabama all season because Alabama needs to take care of business, right? Like they need to either beat LSU
and Tennessee,
or if LSU doesn't lose to both A&M and Arkansas, which they may not. But the point is, overarching point is, all these teams still have to play each other. I think it's going to be very difficult to go 10-2. Now it's possible because of the home loss to Kentucky, not necessarily the road loss to LSU, even though I think that both losses are going to look very similar at the end of the year in terms of I hate the term resume when we're talking about a 12-team playoff. I think there's going to be a lot of beating up on each other, and Ole Miss is going to have a real, if you run the table, make them keep you out. Be the team that's 10-2 that they're having to spin. Like, back in late September, they lost at home to Kentucky. You know what I'm saying? Like or back in early October, they lost in a night game in Death Valley. I mean, that's I
can't. The LSU loss. If we finish 10-2, it's basically 11-1 because the LSU loss will not be held. It cannot be held. Overtime at LSU.
Yeah, that's not going to be. It's not going to be.
And after we should have been up 13 in the first half.
It's not going to be. And at that point, you have to keep in mind too. This is all assuming that Ole Miss goes undefeated. When it runs the table, that would be 5 straight wins over at Arkansas, Georgia at home, Oklahoma at home.
Yeah.
At some point, you win. Here's also human nature. Zach talked about the timing wins. It's a great point because let's say Ole Miss runs the table. Well, if what we're saying needs to have happen, and it may not, but let's just say it happens. Okay. Tennessee would take a loss on November the 16th to Georgia. All right. That's after taking a loss on October 19th to Alabama. Ole Miss would not have lost a game since before both of those losses, right? And then
look, Tennessee's not been impressive in wins. No. In their wins, they've not been impressive. They should have lost last week.
I think a lot of people are probably picking up on them. Maybe not. But I've been taking money lines. I did it again last week, and they should have lost. last week. I'm going to do it again today. Well, I guess Bama's the favorite, but I'm gonna lay the points with Alabama. Spoiler. So anyway, LSU would also have taken losses, late in the season, November, October 26th, potentially at Florida. So if Ole Miss runs a table and all these teams take late losses, human nature would shift. They're not going to say, "Oh, well, LSU number 7, but even though they lost now, we're not going to drop them." And Ole Miss won. That's just not how it works. It's a late. See, I don't know why that is, and maybe the ranking is not going to have anything to do with what the playoff committee decides. I'd be surprised.
Look, the other thing, if you want to step outside the conference just for a minute, I don't think the Big Ten's getting more than 3 in.
Oregon, Ohio State,
and Penn State. Yeah.
Penn State,
Dude, there's not a 4th team that deserves to be in it. There's just not.
Yeah, no.
Who would it even be? It ain't gonna be Michigan.
No, I agree with that.
There's no one else.
And USC's they're mid.
Yeah.
I guess Indiana, we need them to start taking losses.
That's true. And they're gonna get theirs this weekend, I think.
Yeah. Okay, so if you got 3 from the Big Ten, who in the Big 12? Anybody?
I think it's just the winner. I mean, right now BYU is undefeated, right? And Iowa State. They're both undefeated, right? I think so. BYU and Iowa State.
BYU.
Let's assume both get in. I don't think they will, but let's just
I don't think they will either.
Say both get in just for the sake of the argument. That's 5. Group of 5 team or 6 team. So you're at 6 then.
ACC is going to get maybe 2. The ACC might get 2. They may ruin everything.
All right. So Clemson gets in 7. Miami gets in. That's 8. So then there are 4 left. All right. You got Texas, Alabama in this scenario, 9 and 10. Okay. Is everybody else in the scenario I pick have 3 losses at this point? I think they do. In what I said, LSU.
If we're saying we beat Georgia, we
didn't do A&M.
Yeah, I know.
All right, let's look at their schedule right quick.
Dude, they're laying in the weeds right now, man.
They've
quietly put together a pretty strong season. Now their schedule's not daunting, but still.
All right, they've got to lose. We need A&M to stumble to they're going to lose to Texas. That's going to give them their 2nd loss. I think they're going to lose to Texas. All right, plot twist here. Georgia wins in Austin, okay? Then Texas loses in College Station.
That's not good.
But then that's a 10-2, though.
I know. That's what I'm saying. They get to 10-2. No. They would be 9-3.
No.
No. Never mind. You're right. 10-2 for Texas.
Yeah, that's too many 10-2s. Too many for us. Then we'd be.
I was going to say it's not good for Ole Miss if that happens.
Yeah.
Ole Miss needs Texas to run the table.
I think so.
Or to lose at Arkansas. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think they either got to go undefeated or lose 3 or 4, and I don't see them losing 3 or 4.
Yeah.
What we need more than Texas running the table is we need them to beat Georgia. We need Georgia to catch another loss.
See, I think so too.
Yeah.
I just
because that way it's going to be impossible for that team not to just be like, well, season's over.
Yeah. And that's part of why I'm questioning who we should be rooting for in Tennessee, Bama, because I'm which team is more likely to say fuck it if they lose? And I think it's probably Bama, but I don't know. We're reading minds.
And if Georgia loses to Texas, that gets that butthole real tight in Oxford. Because it's not just Ole Miss that's up against the fire. It's going to be both teams. And the home team, you would think, benefits in that scenario where Georgia's going to be real tight on the road, and it's going to be a zoo. I don't care how bummed people are for the LSU loss.
No, if we win, if we beat Oklahoma, will be forgotten for that weekend.
Oklahoma and Arkansas.
Yeah.
Beat Oklahoma and beat Arkansas, and everybody is all
they'll be back in. It's easy to get back in. I mean, at that point, you're 7-2.
And who knows? That's 2 more weeks for Georgia to be arrested for reckless drunk driving, whatever.
I'm looking at Georgia's schedule.
30 arrests since last January.
Yeah.
So
But-
Georgia
It'd be
gets
30,
a bye.
35. Yeah.
They get a bye before Florida. If Georgia's going to lose, it's going to be to us in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Just being honest, like we need Texas to win. I don't subscribe to needing Georgia to win Saturday. I don't.
No.
You know,
I just think 10-2 is better than 9-3. It's that open and shut for me.
Yeah.
Like I think 10-2 is better than 9-3, right? And so if the competition is Georgia, we want to be 10-2. We want them to be 9-3.
Right.
we also, we also want them to be 9-3 because if we get into this cute argument of 10-2 versus 10-2, they beat Clemson and we beat Wake.
And their best win will have been at Texas. And their worst loss will have been in Oxford. Whereas our best win will have been over them in Oxford. And our worst loss is Kentucky at home.
Now, I do think that 10-2 and 10-2, though, if you've got the head-to-head tiebreaker, that's a very loud.
Yeah, I just don't know that we get the benefit of the doubt.
Are they going to keep Georgia out of the playoff 2 years in a row?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, you want to go – do we really want to go head-to-head with that brand?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
We need people to start catching losses. They're going to, though. Eventually, people are going to start losing games. Like, we're not going to have a bunch of 10-2 teams. I really don't believe that.
No.
I don't. The rest of the league is too good.
College football is too wild for it to happen.
Yeah. That's just hard.
Vandy beat Alabama this year.
I mean, have we had a lot of years where there were several 10-2 SEC teams?
No. But we also arguably haven't had as many years with this much parity as a result of the portal and NIL and the divisions now being mixed up and jumbled. You know, no East-West. We're actually playing sort of cross-conference rivals. So, no, to your point. I mean, no, we haven't. But I think this year, unfortunately, might be an outlier.
All right. We want to start making some picks.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
we'll go ahead
before we do this, I'm sorry for cutting in here. Do y'all think we can make the playoff?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the timing of the bye week helps you get healthy, helps you kind of course correct what's been happening. You address some issues. You have some guys that get healthy at the right time. Then you get a favorable home game against an Oklahoma team that cannot do anything on offense. And you have an opportunity to win that game. Then you go to Arkansas after Arkansas plays LSU. And look, Ole Miss has not played well in Fayetteville. The last time Ole Miss won there was 2008. But how's Taylor Green's health? What's Arkansas look like after the LSU game? I mean, the body blow theory there. That's not the worst spot. And then if you win those two and you're sitting at 7-2, then Georgia comes to town. What's Georgia look like at that point? Did they beat Texas? Did they lose to Texas? How bad did they lose to Texas? I feel like just the mind games you can play with the timing of all these games, and if Ole Miss is getting healthy at the right time, like Jaden Williams is back, Princely Mamiellen's back, a lot of these guys that were banged up, Trey Harris, Henry Parrish, JJ Pegues, Jared Ivey, they get 2 weeks to rest up. I think Ole Miss is more than capable of making a run and winning 5 straight. Because at the end of the year, like if you get through Oklahoma, Arkansas, Georgia, and you win all 3, you get another bye week. And then who knows what Florida and Mississippi State look like at that point?
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not gimmies, but what's the give a fuck at that point with those 2 teams?
Mm-hmm.
I will say there is a world where, in my opinion, that if Ole Miss wins out and Georgia beats Texas, that Ole Miss can get in over Georgia if both are 10-2, and that is if Ole Miss beats Georgia like 38-10.
Oh yeah. If we run them out of Vaught Hemingway, yeah.
I mean, is that going to happen? But
last time they were in Oxford, But yeah,
It is college football. I mean, I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
happens. We got run out of the building by LSU in 22, and they weren't like phenomenal at that time. So
no, I think that's I mean, Zach touched on it for me. That's one thing that gives me hope. And these are not excuses; these are explanations. There's a difference, right? Like part of the reason our O line has not played well is because we've been down 3 guys that were literally starters last year for us.
yeah,
You know, like we haven't had them for. I'm not saying that they would be starters this year. Hell, I don't know. Maybe they would have been. I know Jaden would have been, but as for Caleb Warren and Jeremy James, if for nothing else but for depth, they would have been crucial to helping us. We didn't have them. We were without Princely for 2 games. You know, Trey's been banged up, missed the whole second half at South Carolina, missed most of the second half against LSU.
we've been out without Bentley.
Without Bentley, and that's been that was
That's what I was just about to
self-inflicted.
say.
But my God, if he doesn't get carries from here on out,
It
we
is
riot. We
Kill
riot.
Kill me.
Yeah.
But because like at some point it's obvious to everyone.
Yep.
That he's literally playing favorites. I'm not talking about Kiffin. I don't know or I don't know what it is. It looks like he's playing favorites.
But he needs to get touches.
Yeah, and I'm not like Parrish is a great running back. He clearly looks banged up. He looks like he's running. I told y'all this the other day. He's not slow, but he looks like he's running a 5-flat 40 right now. Like he can't get to the edge on defensive ends, on outside linebackers, none of that. Like it looks like we have green grass, and he gets caught after a 2-yard gain. It's like, whereas Bentley gets in there and breaks one for 65 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah. And has a gear that nobody else on the roster has.
Yeah, he's the fastest guy in the building.
Yeah. So,
and he's not on the field.
Yeah. And I like that we have a week for Kiffin and company to reevaluate some things on that side of the ball, on the offensive side of the ball. I think on defense, the lesson for Pete Golding and companies keep doing exactly what you've been doing. Now, it'd be nice to get a stop on 4th and 7, but you get my point. Like,
they're good.
It's not like they weren't trying to. They busted their asses and got a little unlucky.
We didn't lose to LSU because of the defense.
No, hell no.
Well,
or Kentucky for that matter.
No, that's right.
Let me pull it up because I was going to say I haven't heard anybody say it, but like if you're going to do the if the defense is so good, why can't they get a stop on 4th down? Well, let's look. In the Kentucky game, Kentucky was 4 for 16 on 3rd down. Now they were 3 for 3 on 4th down. I get it, but 4 for 16 on 3rd down, that's good enough to win a football game.
But in the ones that do they count conversions with penalties in that? Because they had 3 or 4 3rd down
PIs.
PIs. Yeah. They did 2 in the same drive.
Yeah.
And then
one that resulted in a touchdown.
Yeah. The LSU game, LSU was 6 for 17 on 3rd down.
Look, the defense is good. I think it's the best defense in the country. Now, I've not watched. It may not be as good as Texas. It's definitely in the conversation for it. Defense is good enough for Ole Miss to win the national championship. Ole Miss may not even make the playoff. It will have nothing to do with the defense.
No, nothing.
Yeah,
nothing.
But yeah, you brought it up. I mean, all the stuff I said about the timing of the bye and the timing of playing everybody, and then by the way, the best running back that's on the team looks like he's about to start getting the bulk of the carries.
And look, like if you want to look for silver linings there, I don't think this was purposeful. I mean, I don't think he's some evil genius, but we did save a lot of of Bentley's leg. There's a lot of tread left on those tires because he hasn't played much, right? Like he's not dinged up at all. If you're about going to the bullpen,
maybe that was the plan.
Yeah, I don't think it was. And
no,
look, we could have used his ass against Kentucky. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, if you're looking for something to be hopeful about, I mean, dude's got 20 carries this year.
Yeah, already has more explosive runs, explosive plays than Parrish does all year.
Yeah.
It's not to disparage Parrish. It has nothing to do with that.
No, I mean
they both need to be playing.
And
Parrish just busted his ass. He's doing the best he can. He needs help.
And I don't think anybody's doing that. I don't think any Ole Miss fan is mad at Henry Parrish.
No.
Well,
he does need to hold on to the football. I'll never be mad about somebody for but hold on to the ball.
Yeah.
He would agree with that. Any football player would.
Oh, All right, let's get some winners on the board. I'm gonna go ahead and jump in here. Game is tomorrow as we record this Wednesday evening. I'm going to take the Eagles of Boston College in Blacksburg. I believe it's 6.5. Let me double check, make sure that it's up to date. Oh, 7. Okay, 7.
7 flat.
7 flat. So I'm going to take BC. I think it's just a good spot for BC. I think they're the better team. I think right now, quarterback's playing better than drones. Virginia Tech's been a huge disappointment this year. I was on them, thought they would be kind of a sleeper in the ACC. Just really haven't done it. I like Bill O'Brien in this spot. Their defense is solid. They've got one of the better edge guys in the country. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name, but he's a freak.
Dude's good.
He's made a lot.
Does he have any eligibility left after this year?
Might need to give him a call if he does, but yeah, he's made a lot of left tackles look silly.
Yeah.
I like BC there.
Yeah. No, I like that. 7 feels like a pretty heavy tariff for a team like Virginia Tech that can't really be trusted against any comparable, competition.
Yeah, I agree. Agree with that pick. How is South Florida only 13.5 over UAB? UAB's
their quarterback's got a broken
playing.
leg, right?
Who?
I think South Florida, they're missing their starting quarterback. I think
UAB's
broke his
not
leg.
playing football anymore. Like they've quit. They may have to shut the program down again.
They're bad.
I don't know. They may
Guilford.
lose to Birmingham Southern this year, and Birmingham Southern don't have a school.
The worst part about that, if you're a UAB fan, aside from just the fact that everybody's kicking your ass, is that you could have had UL Monroe's coach.
Yeah.
And they're like, what, 5-1? Whatever.
Yeah. He's good. All right. I will I'm going to stay in the SEC for a lot of games this week. I'm going to lay 3 points with Alabama in Knoxville. Alabama's going to they played with their food against South Carolina. There's not a lot of football analysis here. Tennessee's pretty good on defense. Alabama's going to do enough with Milroe running the ball and Ryan Williams that they'll score enough. In Tennessee, what are they averaging? Like 8.5 points a game in SEC play right now? Really, like 12 points. Yeah, their offense is terrible. And let's be honest, Nico sucks right now. Like this whole idea that he's physically probably the most talented football player or quarterback in college football, but he's not any good yet.
2 weeks in a row, Tennessee hasn't scored in the first half.
Yeah, he will be good.
Hasn't
he
scored
will be good, but he's not good right now. So,
but they'll show 4 clips of him spiking a volleyball for sure before the end of the first quarter. It's completely relevant to a football game, as you know. That is.
So
I like that pick. I feel like this is where Bama kind of rises from the ashes a bit, and DeBoer kind of flexes his muscle. I think they scheme him up. They'll thrive in that environment too, I think.
It's a 2:30 kick. It's not like they're kicking off at 8, p.m.
Sure.
I don't know if it's fair to say that the book is out on Heupel and the veer and shoot offense. Maybe that's not fair, but Arkansas schemed up an incredible defensive plan against Tennessee. And I know Bama's defense is not the Bama defense of 10 years ago, but are they better than Arkansas?
Oh, well, yeah. Of course,
but definitely better players up front. And dude, Florida.
I'm telling you, Florida should have beat Tennessee.
Florida should have beat. Yeah.
If Graham Mertz doesn't get hurt on a non-contact injury, I mean, that just sucks.
This is back-to-back weeks that Tennessee's played backup quarterbacks.
Yep.
In Arkansas and in Florida.
And they're 1-1 against them. Yeah. Should have been 0-2.
Yeah.
If I'm Jalen Milroe, I'm nervous.
But I think you're right, Ben. To your point, Kalen DeBoer is leaning on Milroe's legs quite a bit now. And he will be the best player on the field in that game.
Yeah.
I mean,
They're going to he would be wise to lean on his legs, right?
mhm.
Does anybody know the name of Alabama's running back? Zach probably does. But, like,
They
it's
have a
not Derrick
jam. They have a
Henry.
jam something. I don't
Jam
know.
Miller, and then
There you go.
What's his name?
Yeah, it's not Derrick Henry.
It's not
Mark
J.J.
Ingram.
Yeldon. It's not Mark Ingram. It's not Trent Richardson. You name it.
Yeah.
It's not them.
It's a Georgia kid, Haynes.
Justice.
Justin Haynes, yeah.
Yeah.
They got capable guys. I think this is a great pick because Ben said it's an afternoon kick, so it's not going to be raucous kneeling where people are just on the ceiling. But I think with Bama being an older team, they have a really good offensive line, a better quarterback. I think they'll be ready. Like this is, you had your fun. You lose to Vandy. You're the pariah of college football. Then you really get lucky against South Carolina. I went back and watched the highlights from that game. I feel bad for South Carolina. They played their ass off.
Sellers just coughing it up. Like,
and I think he's going to be good.
Sellers?
Like he makes plays, but like this is, I think, where DeBoer is like, enough's enough. Like we need to play like we did against Georgia.
And here's the other thing about DeBoer, which, we've praised DeBoer on this podcast for a couple of years. Like, he's incredible. What I loved that he did against Georgia, like he came out against Georgia, ran a completely different game plan and offensive approach than what Kirby was expecting. Like, completely caught Georgia off guard. And Georgia's got an army of, GAs and staff to prepare, and they still weren't prepared for what Bama threw at them in the first half. Now, credit to Georgia for storming back in the second half. But I say all that to say, I think Bama may have a curveball left that Tennessee's not even prepared for. And Tennessee's got a pretty good defense, especially their defensive line. But it wouldn't shock me at all if DeBoer comes out in the first half against Tennessee and they're up like 17-3 at half because Tennessee's defensive staff just has no idea what to prepare for.
Yeah, I mean, probably one of the better in-game scheme guys in the country. Yeah, I'm going to be glued to the TV for that one. That one's going to be fun.
Yeah.
That's a good pick. All right, Austin, what you got?
All right, let's go to Atlanta. There was some foreshadowing earlier. I know that Haynes King might be a little banged up. Everybody seems to think he's going to play. The line movement suggests otherwise. I think it opened at Notre Dame 8.5, has blown through the key number of 10. I think we're now sitting at 11.5. I hope
you
King
can
plays.
Get 12.5.
Okay, well, I want to. It's gambling, right? Give me the 12.5 with Georgia Tech. King may be 80% or whatever. I just don't. Who the hell is Notre Dame to lay double digits on the road to a competent Power 4 team?
Yeah.
I think Buster Faulkner for Georgia Tech is one of the best offensive coordinators in the country. I think he will have them ready. And by the way, Notre Dame just lost another starter this week to injury. I think they lost their starting corner, maybe.
Yeah,
so they're down like 3 or 4 starters off of a pretty good defense at the beginning of the season. I'm not saying they don't win. I just think 12.5, 12, that's way too many points.
Get weird on the flats down there.
Mm-hmm.
People, fourth quarter, Notre Dame guys, Midwest, they don't really have that. They start smelling the varsity across the highway a little bit. And, yeah, I like for Georgia Tech to have a plan defensively. And then, like you said, Faulkner, he really had them ready for the opener against Florida State. They looked really sharp early in the game, scripted drives. I'll be interested to see how they do against Notre Dame first 8 minutes. I feel like that's going to tell you what you need to know.
And they're not afraid to get into a bar fight with Notre Dame. Like if Notre Dame wants to make it a game in the trenches and win 20-13, Georgia Tech's happy to do that. Their head coach is a former offensive line coach. He's an offensive line guy. Faulkner will play run game with them. They'll do zone read, I just think Georgia Tech can hang, man.
Yeah, I like it. All right, back to me. I'm going to go out to Provo, and I'm going to lay the 9. Is it 9?
Yeah, 9.5.
All right, flat 9 at DraftKings. I'm going to lay the 9 with BYU. I think BYU is legit. It's at elevation. Oklahoma State is not good. I know Alan Bowman is old enough to rent a car, but I just don't think he's good enough. I think BYU is actually legit. I think the quarterback matchup favors BYU, and up there, Provo, the elevation thing is real for college
Mhm.
football, and I don't think Oklahoma State's going to be ready, and I don't think they're good enough to hang. I think BYU runs away with it late and covers.
Is this Gundy's last ride?
It feels like it.
I think so.
He got headbutted by one of his cows last week, and
Yeah, which who among us, right? Like it happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, he just sounds like he's always kind of bitched about player freedom, player movement, and I don't know. He's always complained about it, but like now it's like every press conference he's bringing it up. Like he wants no part of this era. I know he's not alone, but like he's at the point in his career where he could hang it up and be just fine.
Oh yeah.
Like, he probably has $20 or $30 million in the bank.
Yeah, I mean, he's been there for what, 15 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he had a brief job, but he was like a GA right after he finished playing. I think he went one place and then came back and just never left.
Yeah.
So yeah, it feels like it's his last hurrah.
Yeah.
I like that pick. BYU's been good all year.
Mm-hmm. They're always good at home.
Oh yeah, yeah, and they got that cool story, BYU or whatever they're.
Yeah.
Jewish quarterback.
The BYG, yeah. Which, by the way, for people that are not aware, that's what he calls himself. Like that's
That's not
being caught in that. Yeah.
Not derogatory.
I think they even made T-shirts, or he did.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to go against the grain here. For me, I am usually, we've called me a believer before, and I'm going to take the Wolverines in Champaign and lay 3 points. I think I can get that at BetMGM.
Did y'all see the game last weekend
with Purdue?
Yeah, they got lucky.
Yeah, that's scary.
I didn't see it.
I think this is an overcorrection by the market, and I think here this is where I am with this. Michigan is not great this year, but they have losses coming. They have to get the Illinois game. They've still got to play Oregon. They've still got to play Ohio State. If they lose to Illinois, they are staring at 7-5 at best.
Ben, I thought you were just going to do one of your tried and true, employ one of your tried and true strategies here, which is to say, Michigan gets players that Illinois does not get.
I'm getting there.
They just are not the same.
A different player.
You trying to say Luke Altmaier can't play at Michigan?
Now this year he could.
Yeah, he could.
This year he could.
Oh, dude, Michigan would take him.
Yeah, but it's like picking. What would be an SEC example?
Alabama,
or
Arkansas.
South Carolina. Even though the game was close, or South Carolina gets a little bit better players, but Alabama and Missouri. Like no matter how good Missouri, we really think Missouri is, or preseason whatever, they're recruiting a different player from Alabama, and that's even more so than like Ole Miss, who let's be honest, Ole Miss is not Georgia. I mean, who is? But the point, even though our roster talent is steadily getting better and we're recruiting better and better players, there's still this like Missouri will have a 2-star playing on the defensive line. We don't.
Right, I was going to say the difference is some of our players. Zach, you would know better than anybody here. Some of our players had Alabama offers.
Yeah, that's right.
Illinois players don't have Michigan offers.
No, not a single one of them. I mean, maybe one, maybe two. And so that just doesn't happen. But if you get an offer from Michigan in the Midwest, you're going to Michigan or Ohio State.
I was going to say if anybody on Illinois' team had a Michigan offer, they wouldn't be playing for Illinois.
They'd be at Michigan. Yeah.
Yeah.
And look, I've enjoyed rooting for Altmaier. Like I like seeing the kid be successful.
He played awesome last week.
Yeah, I'm not hating. I just think Michigan's better.
Hear me out. hear me out. If Illinois wins, okay, they are staring. I hate using that term. I think I overuse it. They may go 11-1. The remainder of their schedule after Michigan. Oh, I'm sorry. They'd have one more loss. They play at Oregon. They'll lose that one. But then they host Minnesota, host Michigan State, play at Rutgers and at Northwestern. They'll win those last 4 games. They're looking at 10-2 if they beat Michigan, and
They might be
that
the
is
Big
an Ole
Ten's
Miss
third.
threat. So you need to cheer for Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you made a good point. Like Sharon Moore has to win this game because, like you said, they've got more losses coming.
Mhm.
You got to get this one, or people are already going to be wanting you out.
As easy
Yeah.
as Illinois' schedule is to end, Michigan's schedule after this game, they host Michigan State, which is a rivalry they'll win. They host Oregon, not going to win. Then they play at Indiana, okay, and that's not a guarantee. And they finish at Ohio State.
Ohio State, yeah. Who wants it badly? Because Michigan's beaten them, 3 years in a row or 2 years in a row?
3.
Yeah, 3.
Yeah.
I think it's 3.
So
And last year was a beatdown.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ohio State's going to wipe the floor with Michigan this year, but
Mhm.
they play at Indiana. That's a trap game, and Indiana that'll be their Super Bowl. Now, I think Michigan will go in there and win, but that's a potential loss. And they also have Oregon, Ohio State. It's not a good. They need to beat Illinois. They got to take care of business against Illinois.
Yeah.
Because what Sharon Moore can't do is he can't go 7-5. He's got to go 8-4, 9-3. 7-5 is a hard sell to Michigan fans.
And just from an X's and O standpoint, too, by the way, I think Michigan finally has found a quarterback. I'm not telling you he's great or anything, but he can at least throw the ball more than 5 yards down the field, which they couldn't do until last week. As a Jack Tuttle, I think is the kid's name.
Yeah.
What's the first guy is a great story, cancer survivor, all that kind of stuff. It's just not. I'm sure that's exactly why they gave him the chance. He just, not that, but he's probably a leader, the whole deal. Set, bought us time, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Austin.
All right, I'm going
I have
to
picked Alabama and Michigan for my first 2 picks. But
look, in most years, dude, that's a 2-0 week. All right, I'm going to go against the grain, against our beloved Siggy. Nebraska on the road at Indiana. I just think it's too big of a number, man. I don't think Indiana has seen lines of scrimmage like this. Indiana has largely beaten up on cupcakes like UCLA, like Northwestern. Now, granted, when they beat them up, they beat them the hell up. They blow people out. I just think Nebraska is a different animal. It's to borrow from Ben a little bit here. These teams generally do not recruit the same type of athlete. I'm not saying Nebraska is Michigan. I'm not saying that Indiana is Illinois. And Cincinnati is a very good coach who brought over a lot of transfers from very good programs who've played really well. Indiana can win the game. I just think 6.5 is a big number against a competent Power 5 opponent who is better than you in the power positions in the trenches. This is going to be a Big Ten game. And Nebraska, I think, is better at Big Ten football than Indiana is. Indiana may win. I just think 6.5 is too much. So give me the Huskers plus 6 in the hook. I'd love if there were a 7 out there. I think the 7's disappeared. Every time the 7 hits the board, it gets bought up pretty quickly. Again, that gives me more confidence in Nebraska. So let me take the Huskers here.
Yeah, that's a really good pick. The newness is about to wear off of Indiana.
Yeah. Cincinnati's great. We've ridden him. He's awesome. I just think all good things come to an end.
It's a good spot for them to drop one.
Mm-hmm.
If our head coaching job ever comes available, I would be completely fine with hiring Kurt Cignetti.
All the dude does is win, man. That's all he does.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to West Lafayette, Indiana. We're gonna stick with the theme here. I am taking the under in the Oregon Purdue game. The number is, let me go ahead and double check it. I had it at 58.5. Oh, it's up to 60.5 now. 61.
Some steam.
Okay. I just think Oregon's just going to blow the doors off of them, and it'll be 48-3. I mean, nothing. Dan Lanning gets nothing out of beating the hell out of Purdue. This is going to be coming off of that huge win against Ohio State. They're just going to go in and try to take care of business, get a dub, and get out.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
And the number's way up there now at 61. So I like that. So
I think Purdue's result last week maybe driving some of the steam to the over.
Yeah.
But I don't see that playing out against Oregon's defense. Oregon and Illinois are not the same.
Yeah, and yeah, like Purdue just got their heart ripped out last week. It's gonna suck to have to try to get up off the mat, and then you got to play a top. What is Oregon now? 2?
Yeah, 1 or 2. Yeah.
But like I said, this is a business trip. Get in, get out. Nobody get hurt. Let's go back home for Oregon. Yeah. All right.
Good pick. It's a sick pick, but it's a good pick. All right. Let's switch it up. I want State plus 15.5 against A&M.
I'm going to join you on that.
15.5?
Yeah.
Actually, I got a 16. I see a 16. Yep. It opened at 15, so it's not moved a lot.
That game is going to be.
I'm riding with you.
That game is going to be disgusting.
I hope so.
It's going to be just a street fight by the dumpster at Sonic.
I think A&M should be on upset alert here. Now, I think State's getting a little too much credit for the Georgia game. The game kept getting out of reach, and then Georgia would let off the gas on defense, and State would score, and then they would extend it out of reach, and then State would score. So it was never like a threat. It was a 10-point loss that was really a 17-point loss that they scored with 1:30 left on the ball. So like this idea that, they're good. They're still 1-5.
They're not good, but they haven't quit.
But
that final drive for Jeff Levy was very Dan Mullen-ish.
It was. But they've got a freshman quarterback or whatever, young quarterback. That is something that can rally a locker room in that, the expectation for State was never to make the college football playoff, right? But they're starting to get life behind a new guy under center. He's pretty good, frankly.
Yeah. And he's throwing to a bunch of young receivers.
Yeah. And so they're not going to quit. I mean, there's no incentive for them to quit. And frankly, they're coming back home after I guarantee you that while the game wasn't as close as the score indicated, they think it was. And so they're going to have a great week of practice. They will be fired up for A&M and may put it on A&M and win. I mean, I might take State – if it's high enough, I may take State money line and sprinkle it on top of it. They're going to beat somebody this year. They will beat an SEC team this year.
Here's the other thing that the Texas, Georgia, and A&M games all have in common for State. They got Texas looking ahead to OU, right? They got Georgia looking ahead to Texas. And who does A&M have next week? LSU, right?
Yep.
So, again, they catch another team, a better team, much better team, that probably is content to get out of Starkville with a 33-20 win. Like, they'd be perfectly fine with that. Yeah.
Yeah. And now at the beginning of the year, we said State would not win an SEC game. That still may be true, but they have more life than they did against Florida. Like something has changed in the last 3 weeks, and they are actually getting better as the season is progressing.
I think they used the bye to get a little better on defense, man. They seem to have simplified some things over there. Maybe, first-time defensive coordinator needed to reevaluate some things. Again, I'm not telling you, and you're not either. I'm not saying State is good.
No.
I'm just saying 16 points to an A&M team that has no reason to dominate State when they have LSU on deck. And by the way, I know what A&M did to Missouri last week, or 2 weeks ago, but – look, a lot of shit went bad.
They also beat Mizzou Bowling Green by 6.
Right. But like Mizzou had like a 70-yard touchdown called back. Mizzou had some stuff that went wrong for them, and the train got off the tracks. I just think, again, like 34-21 covers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Too many
Ben,
points.
the only thing you don't need to happen, you don't need the good, the Connor Wegman that showed up against Mizzou to play.
No.
Because he was hitting everything.
Well, look, to Austin's point, this is a look-ahead spot for A&M, and it's also a look-ahead spot for LSU because they're playing each other, and LSU is at Arkansas.
Mhm.
These are
Yeah.
two – we may be looking at a second upset Saturday in college football. We had one 2 weeks ago. There very well
Inshallah.
may be another one this weekend.
Yeah. And State beating A&M would help Ole Miss in the quest to get to 10-2.
Oh, dude, I'll ring a cowbell on the
we need to
podcast
cheer.
next week. If
We need
yeah,
to cheer
yeah,
for State. Like,
Yeah.
you need to cheer for State.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, you need to cheer for State the rest of the way except against Ole Miss.
Yeah. It's a good pick. I like it. All right.
So that was mine and Austin's. Back to you, Zach.
Mhm.
Okay. Let's take a look at the Rebs were just in Death Valley last week. Let's go to another Death Valley. Let's go over to Auburn with a lake. They are playing the Cavaliers of Virginia.
He's talking about Clemson, ladies and gentlemen.
The line is 21, and I am going to lay them.
Clemson's been smashing.
They are in Death Star mode. Dabo has found out some things, and when they have a chance, they are going to put up a number. I will say this: I'm not really privy to a lot of ACC stuff. I don't watch a ton of it. I do have ACC Network now, so I watch it when I can, but I still don't do it a lot because it's not great. But shout out to my guy Trip Hurd on College Sports Now. He is big on Clemson this week. So the lock doctor is pretty good. So I'm going to tail him on this. And I like the pick too. I think, like I said, if Dabo has an opportunity to get style points, he's going to do it because people were shitting on Clemson earlier this year.
Yeah.
And I think that team is pissed and they're trying to really rub people's nose in it now.
With that said, go Hoos.
The only thing that gives me pause there is the relationship between Virginia's head coach and Dabo. Like, does he really put it on his boy? You know, he was
just beat him.
His offensive coordinator.
Just beat him 38-10.
Yeah, look, they may accidentally cover. I mean, hell, I think Clemson is that much better than Virginia. I don't.
Yeah.
You're not asking for 50-3. You're just asking for like 33-10.
Tony Young's not going to be mad at Dabo if Chris Vizina gets in there in the fourth quarter and throws a couple touchdowns.
Touchdown. Right. Yeah.
So
yeah. No, he knows it. He knows the deal. Yeah.
All right. I got a money line. I've got a few money lines, but I'll start with this one. Auburn Tigers money line at Missouri. Freeze is due a win. He's going to eventually get a win. What is it? 2 weeks ago that Missouri got hammered by A&M, or was that last week?
It was when we played South Carolina.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Did they have a bye? Are they coming off a bye week?
I think No, Mizzou went up to UMass, right?
That's right. 145-3 get right game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't care. This is a money line. It's not a big number though, plus 155, 165. So I don't really like that part of the money line if we're going to do a money line game. But I think if the game is close, Missouri is due a close. I mean, they snuck by Vandy in double overtime. Auburn, again, everybody on this show feels the same way about Hugh Freeze. They're not terrible, and they are 2-4.
No.
You want to talk about a team that is snake bit, like with bad turnovers, that sort of thing. Once they put all that together, they're gonna, they'll win games. I think they could do that this weekend. I don't think here's to use my same deal. I don't think Missouri and Auburn recruit the same player. Now, I don't think that it's as big of a difference as like Missouri and Georgia, but Auburn recruits against Georgia, not against Missouri.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna
I just
I'm gonna
think
hold my
Missouri's.
nose and take Auburn.
I think Missouri's kind of a fraud, and I know I say that as a team that lost to Kentucky at home. Like I get it, but like I just
I
I
can be
just
more
don't.
objective about them than I can Ole Miss.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't think.
I'm feeling pretty good. I had them under 9.5 wins. I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I don't. It wouldn't shock me at all if Auburn won outright. Not at all.
Yeah.
Now, Auburn's burned me pretty much every time I picked them this year, so I don't know why I'm doing it again. But if you give me a chance to take Auburn, it's less than a 5-point line already. It's 11 a.m. kick that favors the away team. At least it does to me. It definitely takes it's a lesser crowd. Sans like the random Ole Miss Kentucky game. And I think that Vegas knows that, and that's why it's only at plus 165 on the big side, and it opened at plus 250. So, it opened plus 10. Now, that may have been preseason, but 4.5 is a low number. All right, give me Auburn.
All right, I got one, Zach.
All right.
Give me under in Nashville. Ball State goes to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt fresh off another SEC win against Kentucky with Texas on deck. I'm not telling you that Vanderbilt's going to beat Texas, but I think Vandy thinks that they can beat Texas. What are they going to do against Ball State? Vandy is basically the new service academy. Like they're going to win 35-10 or whatever. Like they have no incentive to run it up against Ball State. This is a sandwich spot between two conference games. Next week might be the biggest game in Vanderbilt history. Number 1, Texas coming in Nashville. Diego Pavia and company. I know Ball State is atrocious. They're terrible. But let's say Vandy puts 45 on Ball State. I don't think Ball State's going to do the rest of the work to get you over 58.5. No way. Yeah. Under.
Yeah, I like it.
Why shouldn't Vanderbilt think they can beat Texas? I mean, at this point, they beat Alabama.
Think they do.
And then
Clark
they went
Lee's got them believing.
He does.
I mean, Texas was 14-6 against State at half, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that they're – in Vandy, though, they never trailed against Kentucky. Yeah. They were at 14-7.5, then they went up 17-7. Then they kicked another field goal and won 20-13. Like very ho-hum workman-like on the road. In Kentucky, I don't know if y'all saw clips of they like blew it out for that night kick. They had like fireworks and light show and all the things. Didn't matter. Vanderbilt just went up there and whooped them.
Like I said, Vanderbilt is like a service academy, man. You find yourself down like 10 in the third quarter and you realize, oh shit, we're only gonna have 2 more possessions. Like if we don't score, it's over.
It's like Ole Miss Kentucky.
Exactly what it's like. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're oddly physical. Mm-hmm. They have an identity.
Dude.
Yeah, well, you kind of describe it. It's like when you like go to the bar and you like brown out, and then all of a sudden the lights are on, and you can't find your debit card.
Exactly. What the fuck just happened? Yeah. You just lost to Vanderbilt. That's what happened. Look, Clark Lee's done a great job. I think Jerry Kill has breathed new life into this team.
Oh, dude. Diego Pavia would ride to Valhalla for that guy.
Yeah. And I just think that mentality, man, he brings that just hard ass blue collar. Like we're going to line up, hit you in the mouth, line up and do it again. We're going to do that 50 times. And if you can beat us, that's fine. But that's our game plan.
I can't wait to see that line. Texas coming off a Georgia game, playing in Nashville. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying Vanderbilt's going to win, but if that line's 15.5, you're going to have to give me the doors.
Yeah. Witness me.
But we do need Vanderbilt to take some losses, like they've eventually.
All right, I'll give you a 2 for here. I'm going to piggyback off of Austin. I'm going to go ahead and lock in Georgia Tech money line plus 350. And then I'm also going to throw you SMU traveling to NorCal, to Palo Alto.
Mhm.
I think it's 14 and a half.
Oh, no way is it that low now. I saw
No,
16.
wait,
Let's see.
15. I can get 15 and a half.
Okay.
Couple books got 15 and a half. Yeah, Stanford's bad. They lost Ashton Daniels. They were actually like kind of okay with Ashton
Yeah.
Daniels at quarterback. They don't have anybody to throw the football. Nobody cares about football up there. I think SMU actually gives a shit. So, yeah, give me the Mustangs going up there. And look, I think right now you've got SMU ranked 5-1, something to play for now. Stanford they're just trying. They're on the quarter systems. I don't know when midterms are. They're not focused on this. So I like SMU going up there and putting up a good number.
Yeah, I'm with you. Injuries have eaten up Stanford. I like their coach, but he's playing with
that's one of the harder jobs in the country.
yeah, especially in this era.
Yeah.
All right, I got a couple before my money line. So y'all want me to just unload, or y'all got more?
Yeah, go ahead.
I have some too, but you can go ahead.
All right. First one, you would go broke betting this over the years, but I think this is why it's a good bet, if that makes any sense. I think the market has been slow to react to the new reality for Iowa football. They're not winning like 3-7 anymore. Like they're scoring a little bit. 40.5 on the road at Michigan State in East Lansing. It's supposed to be 70 degrees in East Lansing, clear skies, no wind or rain. 40.5, way too low. Over. Iowa, Michigan State, 40.5.
That is
23-20.
That's a low college football total.
Yeah. That's one of the better Power 4 sicko picks I've heard in a while.
Like I just think this is last year's Iowa team market. They're not this Iowa team.
Yeah.
They score.
Yeah.
All right. So if we picked Florida, Kentucky,
No.
Nope. Dude, there's a battle in the market on that. It keeps going back and forth. The favorite keeps flipping like every hour.
yep. I'm gonna take. Let's see what I can get with it.
Oh, at the Swamp too.
Well,
Mhm.
right now it's Florida +2. I want to see if the money line will get me much more. It'll give me even odds, as opposed to -110. All right, give me Florida +2 against Kentucky at home.
Like Lagway at home.
Lagway at home. Kentucky coming off a loss to
cares?
Vanderbilt at home. You know, really, we need. I don't think it really matters who wins this game for Ole Miss, because we don't need Kentucky to go 3-9 though, or 4-8.
Yeah, right.
But I would prefer for Florida to win as many games as they can
Mhm.
for other reasons,
Mhm.
and which that ship may have already sailed. I don't know,
Mhm.
but I don't think Kentucky's good enough for me to feel.
But
Is Kentucky good enough for me to feel comfortable in them winning 2 road games in conference play? You know, you only get 4 a year, right? So
Yeah.
I don't see it. Give me the Gators +2.
yeah, I like that.
I'm a believer in Lagway too. I think a week where he gets all the reps with the first team would do him some good.
Yeah.
I'm just interested to see how they look coming off a loss to Tennessee. Now, the total in the Florida Kentucky game is just 42.5, which is probably right, honestly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
For these offenses.
That's a good one.
I'm not betting this, but we haven't really talked about it. Georgia, Texas is up to 5.
I know. I saw that. That's crazy. I'd have to take the points. You got to take Georgia at a 5-point line.
Yeah. When was the last time Georgia was a dog of more than 3? Do we know?
5 points is a lot of points.
What is this? Is this the first time in like 4 years Georgia's not the favorite or something? It's something crazy.
Not favored, period.
I think I heard it
Jeez.
on a podcast. I mean, it's been a while since they were an underdog.
Yeah. That's wild.
Well, let's see if I've got any. I'm looking through my list.
People are betting that one like they know the final score. That opened at 3.
I got another favorite. I want
No,
to jump.
that opened at Georgia -1.5, and now they're
I
plus
know.
5.
It shifted 6.5. Yeah.
I'm going to jump on another.
They got that Biff Sports Almanac.
Or I guess shifted 5.5. Yeah.
I'm going to jump on a road favorite here. I feel like it should be stinky, like empty the diaper pail stinky here, but I trust the head coach and the quarterback. I'm taking K-State -3 on the road at West Virginia. Yeah, I just think that Kleiman and them are going to be ready. He schemed up Dion and them. I know it was tight late because Colorado just played crazy out the ass in the second half, but Avery Johnson seems like he's starting to really feel comfortable in that offense. They run the football well. They play good defense. I'm taking that over whatever the hell Neil Brown and West Virginia is doing right now. They are not good. I mean, it's teetering on quit watch over there, 3-3. I think they were pretty hype about this season, and now it's really fallen apart. The Green kid has not looked good this year at quarterback. I like K-State.
Yeah, the thing is, too, West Virginia shot their wide last week against Iowa State and couldn't beat them. Went all out, balls to the wall, and still came up short. You can't get off the mat back-to-back weeks. I think they're done.
Yeah.
And that's a short number.
That place is tough when West Virginia has a pulse, but, it's going to be sleepy up there.
Yeah, I think so, too.
We'll see if I've got – have y'all been putting these in the sheets?
I got it.
We'll look what I have so far.
I think I've got 2 more, and then I got a couple money lines. Let me go. Yeah, I'll do these 2. You may go rapid fire.
Yeah, go ahead.
Arkansas State 6.5 against Southern. Southern is a corpse. They are terrible.
They must be.
They're awful. People, I think, are holding some Arkansas State losses against them when they stepped up in competition. But, Arkansas State is far superior to Southern. Far superior. And there's 0 home field advantage in Hattiesburg. None. So you're telling me on a neutral field, what's the number on a neutral?
Where are they? So it's in Hattiesburg.
It's in Hattiesburg, but what are you giving them for home field? Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. It's not a terrible trip from Jonesboro to Hattiesburg.
That might be a tougher job than Stanford.
Yeah, in this era, yeah. So laying the 6.5 with Arkansas State, and going against another corpse here, laying the 6.5 against Baylor. Texas Tech and Baylor is a sneaky, weird rivalry because of the coaching dynamic there, where Tech's coach was at Baylor for a little while, right?
Yeah.
So Tech will want this one. It's at Tech, which is a tough place to play. Baylor is just trash anyway. I think this is Aranda's last ride. I don't see it. I think Tech 38-20, something like that. It scares me a little bit that the number is so small. I worry that there's an injury I'm not aware of, but it's gambling.
All right. Did anybody – let me check this right quick. They did not. Okay. Let's go to New Orleans.
Uh-oh.
And lay 21.5 with Tulane over Rice. Rice is terrible. They have 2 wins on the year. They just beat Texas San Antonio by 2. Their other win is over Texas Southern, which they won 69-7. I mean, Rice got blown out by Houston, who sucks. They got blown out by Army, who's good. Lost to Charlotte and Sam Houston. And Tulane's not bad. I mean, what are Tulane's losses? Kansas State and they're both early. Kansas State and Oklahoma. Tulane. Yeah. I mean, this is a different. Now it is a 3 touchdown line, so take that in consideration. But it would not surprise me if you look up at Tulane's winning 45-7 in the third quarter Saturday. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to lay 21.5 with the green wave. I need a big money line sprinkle, guys, like a big number.
Well, I can.
It's either going to be Mississippi State.
I got
or
two, but mine are not that big this week.
Old Dominion at home against Texas State. Texas State blew out Arkansas State last week, and I think that may be influencing that line a little bit against Southern. But Old Dominion isn't bad. Like they're still a hard out, especially at home, and they get 10 points. That's a lot of points. I'm not going to do it. What's his name still at Texas State? The guy who's like 18 years old, the coach.
Yeah, Kenny, GJ Kenny.
GJ Kenny.
Yeah. He'll be the offensive coordinator at Auburn in like 4 years.
Or the head coach.
Yeah.
I got a couple money lines that I'm contemplating, but I don't know.
I'm going to fire on the obvious one. Give me Arkansas. Money line.
Yeah, a good one. Yeah.
Tough spot for LSU.
LSU has to travel to Arkansas in between the A&M and Ole Miss games.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a hard spot. And Arkansas, they were off last week, if I remember right.
Yep.
Yeah. Plus 120.
And I've been really impressed with Arkansas's defensive coordinator.
Yeah. Very good.
And Petrino is Petrino. Like, he will have something for LSU.
They are much more physical than LSU, too.
Yeah.
At least from what I have watched.
And my other sprinkle is...
And I bet in the Arkansas game with LSU, not to interrupt you, bet if targeting happens, the guy will actually get thrown out of the game.
You don't think they'll worry about intent and like ask him if he meant to do it or if he didn't mean to do it?
In my whole life, I've never seen that.
Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
I was in a house full of 12 other guys, and when that happened, everybody in the entire house was like, what just happened?
And let's be honest, like, it wasn't a hard hit, and I know the guy probably didn't mean to do it because he was sliding.
I don't think he meant to do it either. I just don't think it matters.
But it doesn't matter.
You still lowered your head.
You pulled the trigger. You pulled the trigger. I don't care if you meant to hit him. You pulled the trigger.
You got Matt Austin on the broadcast saying targeting. Like, yep, we look at the indicator, crown of the helmet, contact to the head, shoulders, neck, whatever. That's targeting. Only for the crew to come back and go, the ruling on the field is whatever. It's just unbelievable.
And it was called targeting on the field.
Called targeting on the field.
You had the fumble, the strip sack fumble that was called a fumble on the field overturned.
Which I didn't think got nearly enough play in real time in the broadcast. Like McElroy, decided in a microsecond that it was definitely not a fumble. And they didn't really show many replay. Like, we didn't get a ton of views. Like,
apparently in the stadium, they weren't showing replay at all.
Yeah.
So that should tell you.
Right. All right. My other money line sprinkle is against a team that's been living dangerously for the last couple weeks. They're going to lose a game. We're going Louisville money line against Miami. I got plus 169. Nice.
I wanted to do this one. Miami's eventually going to lose.
Yep. Yeah. And they're running out of spots. This is the one on the road at Louisville. Coaching mismatch.
They'll be fraudulent at least 1 week.
Mm.
I wish it was a night kick, but I think they'll get up either way for Miami.
I was going to say, I feel like that's actually better for Louisville that it's sleepy 11 a.m.
And Miami's not used to playing in front of people either. So
true.
I'm going to stay in the Peach State for my other money line sprinkle. I'm going Georgia Southern plus 285 against James Madison.
I wanted to do this. Georgia Southern was stingy against Ole Miss.
They had some bodies too, man. They had some bodies.
Good quarterback.
Yeah.
And my resident JMU expert, Stephen Hartzell, he's sweating this one this weekend. He is not feeling comfortable.
Yeah. So, I'm not telling you they're like all world or anything, but they had some bodies. Defensive line, linebacker, like they had some guys.
I'm going to take a flyer. I'm going to take a flyer on that one. It's at home, too.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to double dip on this.
State?
Yep.
Yeah.
Plus 550. It's got that. I've got that itch. I got to scratch it. And it's a big one. And I don't know if I've won a big one this year. Zach has won a couple. The biggest one I've won, I'm saying looking, I have one at 425, at 280, Arkansas was 425 at home to Tennessee. Can you believe that? What a value in that game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gosh,
yeah.
that week was just outrageous for us. Like,
I know, but I remember when we were talking again, like some weeks we are dead ass wrong, but when we get them right, I'm going to crow about it a little bit. Like we perfectly nailed the Arkansas Tennessee game. Like,
yeah,
nailed it.
Oh,
yeah, it was.
the week 1 BC money line plus 590.
Yeah. That was a good.
And then BYU the next week plus 360.
Yeah.
Look, I've gone state plus 16 and state money line. They're going to be, I'm telling you, man, their fans are going to be there this week. This is the week that, nobody circles the wagons like the Mississippi State Bulldogs coming off a moral victory in a 10-point loss in Athens.
And look, also, Lebby was here. We know Lebby. He's going to have one circled to get. Now, it's probably Ole Miss later in the year that he's going to go all out for. But you got to think he's feeling pretty good about where his offense is right now. Why not this one? Why not get this one?
Why not this one when A&M is looking ahead to LSU?
Mm-hmm.
Why not this one? Like, this is A&M has come off, let's see. They had a close game against Bowling Green. They won by 6. I mean, they haven't had a bye. Have they had a bye?
I think it was last week.
Oh, yeah, they did. Never mind. Sorry. But before then, they went like, no, this is a good good spot for state. Let's see if I've got any more. I always have to play one huge one, but I may have 2 huge ones.
I think that's going to do it for me.
Do we have Nick's?
Yeah, we got Nick's. I can read his when we're done.
Man, do I need to take Georgia plus 5? Like, that's just so many points. God. Are they? I mean, is Texas that good? I hope so.
I wonder if somebody's dummying the number up to only hit it later in the week.
Can you believe that SMU is laying 16 at Stanford? What a world!
It's wild. All right, I got one more. And I'm just doing it, so it just forces me to stay up. I'm laying the 10 with Cal hosting NC State.
Dude, what has happened to NC State?
They suck.
They must have no NIL.
It's like them. It's those 2 ACC schools, NC State and Virginia Tech, just fell apart.
And both had expectations this year. Both of them.
They thought NC State thought that this was like their best team since the Nick Chubb team.
Mm-hmm.
Or Bradley Chubb, not Nick Chubb. Cal's good. Should have beaten Miami. Got screwed.
Mm-hmm.
It's in Berkeley. I still think there's some buy-in there. There'll be a decent crowd, but that's a long way to travel for NC State. And you're going out there to get beat. And 10's not a lot. And
they'll be in the grip of the algorithm.
That's right. And you got Jay Knott that's running the football well. What's the I can never remember his damn name. The Cal quarterback is solid. The Mendoza kid.
Yeah.
And Wilcox is a damn good coach. He's hung around there for so long. So props to him for being loyal to Berkeley and that university. But yeah, I think this is a really good spot for Cal to really bounce back and kind of keep it going. And NC State's garbage.
They're bad.
All right. We done? Is that it?
Yeah.
That's it. Unless you want to read Nick's.
I mean, I don't have a lot of picks this week.
Hey, everybody's got 2 money lines. All right, Nick. I love this first one. He's got Duke -3.
Hey, quick thought there. How many times has Duke beaten Florida State?
Once.
Is it one time?
Never.
Yeah.
Oh, never? Not even with Cutcliffe?
0-22.
Oh, I think when Cutcliffe was really good, was that when Florida State had Jameis?
Maybe, yeah.
It was because that was the year they played Johnny Football in Peach Bowl.
It was at the ACC. I think it was ACC title game.
Yeah. So I almost picked Florida State here. I did.
Finally get a get right spot.
They have different athletes.
Yeah.
And also, who is UConn to be laying 2 to Wake Forest?
That's a wild number. That one's wild.
I'm staying away from it, but Nick picked Wake +2, and I do agree with him. He also is I think he picks Northwestern every week. Northwestern +12.
+12.
Is
Is that this week? Who do they have?
+7. Who is this then? NW.
That's Northwestern.
Yeah, we are not giving Nick 12.
It's 7.5.
Yeah.
Where is he getting that?
Dude, check all his lines.
Wake +2.
Yeah, he's got the other ones right. That must have been a typo.
He can get a 1.5.
No, he wants the points.
He wants a dog.
I'm sorry, he's going the other way. Indiana -6.5.
That's right. Yeah, they're all right.
We're going head to head there.
He's got Georgia Tech +12.5 with Austin, Northwestern +7.5, and then his money lines. I almost went with this one. I like Oregon State +230. That one has an opportunity to get kind of weird with UNLV.
UNLV, yeah.
It's up there in Corvallis. That stadium can get kind of rowdy. And then his final money line is Illinois.
All right, give you a good MAC matchup. Toledo and Northern Illinois play Saturday. They have the 2 best MAC wins of the past 20 years this season in Notre Dame and Mississippi State.
Yeah.
The line is what? 1.5?
3.
Oh, it's up to 3. Bill C's SP plus projection for this game is 21-21.
For Northern Illinois and Toledo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good game to just bet a dog money line.
Basically, it opened at 1 point. All right, I hate my card, but whatever.
I feel like we say that every week, though, and you've been killing it.
97-70.
Yeah.
You took Arkansas money line, Austin. Is that right?
Yeah.
What is that? What's that point spread? +3?
Let's see.
Yeah. +3.
My concern is, did they beat both Tennessee and LSU at home? Like, are they good enough to do that? Maybe. I think
it's a good spot for Arkansas.
It's a spot. Yeah, it's a spot play.
Yeah.
Because LSU, it's another rivalry game. After a rivalry game, you had the overtime, pull it out of the fire win. Yeah, it's a good spot for LSU to be flat. Night game in Fayetteville can get real squirrely.
it's a red out.
Yeah, not to mention
that place is low key kind of rowdy when it's a night game there and they care.
And I bet it'll be like 12 degrees up there. It always is this time of year. Like, let's see.
Rainy.
Whenever we play up there, it's like sleeting.
It's 48 there right now. The low Saturday is 45.
There we go.
Let me tell you what 45 is to somebody in South Louisiana.
Yeah, right.
That is Mount Everest.
Yeah.
And dude, it's 45 in Fayetteville. In Davis Reynolds might as well be 35.
Yeah.
So have they announced I guess they haven't announced our kick time in Arkansas yet. Are we just going to play night games everywhere we go and host day games in conference play?
I think Arkansas it's morning, right? We know that, don't we?
Is it morning?
I think we know that. Yeah.
I'm afraid they flexed it.
Nope, it's TBD.
Yeah, but when they opened the year on the schedule,
it was either morning or afternoon. It's definitely not night. We know that. Yeah.
Ole Miss Georgia's probably going to be at night, right?
It's a flex, isn't it?
2:30.
You know it's going to be 2:30,
Yeah, it's
which will
2:30.
result in us playing 0 SEC night games this year.
I will say
Which is- That game,
Go ahead.
I was going to say that game deserves to be at night.
Yeah.
I don't hate the let's see. Yeah, Ole Miss Arkansas is early. Georgia at Ole Miss is flex, which is 2:30 or night. Ole Miss at Florida is 12 noon. That's good.
12 Eastern.
Yeah. And then State at Ole Miss is 3:30 Eastern, so 2:30. I don't yeah, I mean on the Egg Bowl thing, I don't mind that because of the
Yeah, whatever.
how cold it is or or can be. Same for Georgia, frankly. And in November, is November 9th? When does daylight savings end or when do we go to standard time?
Oh, God.
When do
I
we
think
fall
will
back?
by then.
Surely we'll have by then. Point is it'll be night. It'll be
So-
dark by halftime.
November
Mhm.
3rd.
Yeah. So that'll be the next week. It'll be dark by halftime. And then in November, the afternoon game is a little bit different. I agree with you, Austin, that you want to kick off at night, right? You want to have be able to have the light show and all that kind of stuff. They can still do that at halftime though, if they want to. But there's just a different atmosphere.
Yeah.
Like giving us morning kicks for both Kentucky and Oklahoma is
And
just,
OU. Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Really the one to complain about, let's just call it what it is. And this is like a preseason conversation in the middle of the year, but like the one to complain about is OU. How that game is at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
That's just
Tony.
ridiculous.
In that weekend, who they flexed Missouri at Alabama and LSU at A&M, and Auburn at Kentucky got 7:45 p.m.
That's
Like, give us that
absurd.
kick.
That's absurd.
When's the last time we kicked off that late at Vaught Hemingway? Can y'all even remember it? A&M in 21?
Texas A&M.
That sounds right. That was a late kick.
Yeah.
And we hosted game day that day. And the only reason I say that is because, like, I can remember us kicking off at like 8:15 in Tuscaloosa back in 2015.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We kicked off pretty late in Knoxville a couple years ago.
Yeah, that was the 8 p.m. game.
Yeah, it was like
All right, we don't have to.
I was gonna say the only like late home games I can think of were like 2014 Auburn. That one was late.
was that the Treadwell game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Ben hates it. I like it this week. I think we got some good ones.
Oh, I like the overall card. It's mine. That I mean, look, I picked Alabama, Michigan, and Florida. Like, how fun is that?
That's
Like
all
I
right.
said, in most years, you're going to come out ahead with those three teams.
I took a lot of favorites this week, but I feel like they're all good matchups. Nick went heavy underdog. Ben's got a good mix, and then Austin's playing the totals game a little bit here and there. I actually like a lot of the money line picks we have, so we're gonna keep stacking these units. Try to get over the century mark in wins as a team this weekend. I'd have to get Nick to go back and look to see how quickly we got to 100 in recent years. I feel like this might be one of our better years.
Yeah, but keep in mind, the past years we were capped at like three.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a good point. But
Not to take anything away from this year, still incredible this year.
Pretty awesome. Yeah, because I was worried because we were doing unlimited, it was going to hurt our bottom line, but no.
And it may yet still. Let's not.
Yeah, true.
Let's not count chickens.
But yeah, bye week. So enjoy the time off. Sit in front of the TV, no stress. Just watch everyone else play. And then next week we will get geared up for Oklahoma coming to Oxford. Only the second time ever the two programs have played. so we can talk all about the Sooners and the Rebels as Ole Miss is looking to start the journey to 10-2. Got to win the first one. So that'll do it for Hit That Line. Appreciate Ben and Austin, Nick getting his picks in. Appreciate everybody that makes the show possible. All the sponsors, Rowback, Drew Moak, USA Benefits Group, College Corner, Home Field Apparel, everybody. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Until next week, we out of here.